By now, most Kenyans know the name MORARA KEBASO.
Watu wa Nyandarua hamjambo!
Is doing something that most of us can't do. Telling the truth, exposing corruption, and even calling out the president, saying that if he becomes president, this is what will happen.
Mimi simpeleki ICC. I will actually take William Ruto to prison.
He has been on the ground exposing corruption through his bold series, The Vampire Diaries. His online following is now huge. He has over 300,000 followers on Facebook, more than 260,000 followers on X, and over 600,000 followers on TikTok. But let's be honest, the work of exposing corruption is a very risky job. Just recently, on September 30th, he was arrested at his office in Kahawa Sukari, and things took a darker turn when he was attacked on October 4th during an event at the Bomas of Kenya. Yet, despite all this, MORARA is not stopping, thanks to the support of Kenyans who have donated money to help fund his work. With their help, he now has a new car, a new office, and a new political party called the Inject Party of Kenya. Of course, not everyone supports MORARA. Some people have called him a conman, a fraud, a clout chaser, and even accused him of being a government project. Additionally, MORARA said that he's not getting enough support. Even though he has many supporters online, not enough people show up when he's in trouble, like when he was arrested.
So, kazi isikuange tu ati muna like content yangu, muna comment on the work that I do, but siku yenye ngori imenishika ama niko kwa shida, you don't show up for me.
So, is MORARA the leader Kenyans have been waiting for? Is he different from the others who have recently emerged? And could he one day be Kenya's president? Let's find out. Remember to like this video and don't forget to subscribe. The year is 1969, and Kenya's political landscape is rocked by the killing of Tom Mboya, one of the country's brightest and most promising political figures. Tom Mboya was killed in broad daylight on Nairobi's Government Road, now Moi Avenue. The killing of Tom Mboya shocked the nation. Mboya was just 39 years old, yet he had already made a significant mark on the country, from securing scholarships for young Kenyans to spearheading the writing of Kenya's policy papers. Mboya was seen by many as a future president, just like MORARA. Though his killer, Isaac Nahashon Njenga Njoroge, was arrested and quickly convicted for Mboya's murder, and according to reports, he was hanged, there were many questions about this case, some saying Nahashon was not hanged. According to MORARA KEBASO, his grandfather, George MORARA, a former MP from West Mogirango, had traveled to Lusaka, Zambia. While there, he had a shocking encounter. At a club, he ran into the very man who they had said he was publicly hanged for killing Mboya, Nahashon Njenga. Now, this was shocking. MORARA confronted Njenga, who panicked and fled the scene. Upon his return to Kenya, George MORARA held a press conference where he gave the government a 48-hour ultimatum to produce Njenga and explain to Kenyans why a dead man was walking free in Lusaka, Zambia. As expected, few days later, George MORARA was dead, killed in a mysterious road accident along the Kakamega-Kisumu highway. The death of George MORARA remains a mystery to this day. Some believe that he was killed, a move to silence him after he began demanding answers about the government's involvement in Mboya's killing. George MORARA's death was not the end of the MORARA legacy, as his grandson, MORARA KEBASO, is doing the same thing that he was doing. Before we talk about what MORARA is currently doing, it's important to first understand where MORARA came from and the journey that shaped his activism.
So I come from a family of politicians. My great-grandfather was the first senator of Kisii under the Majimbo system during independence, Senator John KEBASO. My grandfather, Honorable George MORARA, was also assassinated by the government.
Despite his grandfather's political background, MORARA KEBASO did not grow up in luxury. MORARA was born and raised in Kisii. His early life was marked by hardship. When MORARA was just 6 months old, his parents separated. His mother, who had given birth to him while still in high school, returned to complete her education, and a young MORARA was raised primarily by his aunt, who worked as a teacher. MORARA attended Nyankononi Primary School, a local school in Kisii. His family was so poor that he often went to school barefoot. a common experience back then for many children in rural Kenya. Despite the hardships, Morara was determined to excel. His family's search for better opportunities led them briefly to Nairobi, where Morara attended Newlet Junior Academy. However, they later returned back to their home in Kisii. In Kisii, Morara enrolled at St. Andrew's Kawa Boys School, a boys' boarding school located in Nyansiongo. Life in boarding school wasn't easy. The food was not good, and the conditions were harsh. But Morara thrived academically. He emerged among the top 5 students in the entire Nyanza province during the KCPE examinations. This achievement earned him a place at Maseno School, one of Kenya's top national schools. However, his time at Maseno would be short-lived, and this is why. It was during this time that Morara began to question the authority and challenge the system whenever he felt like something was wrong. In later interviews, Morara described himself as becoming notorious during his time at Maseno. His outspoken personality led to frequent clashes with the school administration. He was eventually expelled from Maseno School after a confrontation with the school's administration.
But somewhere along my line in Maseno School, I was expelled from school.
Why?
This thing that I'm doing.
So it started back then?
Oh my, I started a long time ago. So I was very...
It was a major setback for Morara KEBASO, leaving his future uncertain. But this is when Morara KEBASO got into hustling. He secured a job that paid fairly well, but this wasn't something that he wanted to do for a long time. And he also believed that education is better, as yes, you can have a business and make money, but then be a rich fool. He decided to give education another shot. He enrolled at St. Francis Gekendo Secondary School, located in Nyamira County. It was a smaller school as compared to Maseno School, but this didn't stop Morara from performing well. During the KCSE examinations, he scored an A, becoming the first student in the school's history to achieve such a high grade. After completing his secondary education, Morara found his way back to hustling, this time working various jobs. He became a waiter, which was not a bad job, then got another job as a social media intern at Kisii County, working for the then governor, Mr. James Ongwae. During this period, he received his university admission letter from Kenyatta University to study law. Interestingly, law wasn't his first choice. Morara had applied for other courses like dental surgery, architecture, and quantity surveying, but fate had different plans. While at Kenyatta University, Morara never stopped hustling. He continued hustling in various ways, teaching mathematics and physics at Kabiro Secondary School during his free time, and selling avocados to earn some extra cash. Morara then opened a hotel in Kawangware 56 while living in a single room in a place known as Okomjinga, where he paid 1,800 as rent. He also had wines and spirits shops in Kawa Wendani and Kawa Sukari, but eventually closed them due to his faith and religious beliefs. Morara has done almost everything. He has tried online writing, sold insurance and land, sold yogurt, and ultimately his breakthrough came through this. He ventured into the furniture business. He founded MORARA Furniture, which started small but quickly grew into a large operation. As we speak, the business has employed more than 80 Kenyans across multiple locations in Kenya. MORARA also owns a company that designs, builds, and delivers container projects. He disclosed that his success in business came after experimenting with various businesses. He believes that if Kenya's economic policies were fair, he'd be headed towards being on the Forbes list.
If this country was fair, if the economic policies of this country were fair, by now, I should be headed towards being on the Forbes list.
What makes Morara's achievements even more remarkable is that he has accomplished all this by the age of 28. Most people didn't know this side of Morara, and there's more you're going to explore. As we've seen before, Morara didn't start protesting or challenging the system recently. His activism began way back in high school at Maseno and continued into his university years. So, let's talk about it. At Kenyatta University, Morara quickly became involved in student leadership, where he first ran for the presidency of KUSA, or the Kenyatta University Students Association. Though he was not successful in his first attempt, this setback made him stronger. He became a vocal opposition figure at the university, earning widespread popularity among students. When he ran for the presidency a second time, his growing influence led the university administration to expel MORARA, an act that sparked widespread unrest among his supporters. According to an article posted on the Nation website on January 11, 2018, MORARA KEBASO was suspended by the Kenyatta University administration just weeks before the KUSA elections. This suspension came after he posted what was deemed as inappropriate message on social media. Many believed that the suspension was a move to prevent MORARA from contesting the KUSA presidential election, a position he was widely expected to win. The move to suspend MORARA sparked protests, and the protests resulted in significant property damage, with losses estimated at 84 million Kenyan shillings.
I know the Vice Chancellor has issued a memo directing students to go home, that it is because of the lecturer's strike, but the truth is that students went on rampage. This is what happened. I was issued with a suspension 5 hours before the clearing of nominated candidates to run for president. We went to the High Court to challenge that decision. But that election was rigged because delegates who were supposed to vote in that election were allegedly bribed, but they do not want to come forward because they are fearing victimization.
MORARA, along with 6 other students, was arrested in connection with the riots. MORARA was accused of inciting unrest through social media posts and text messages. In legal papers challenging the suspension, MORARA argued that the action was politically motivated and aimed at blocking his candidacy. According to reports, MORARA was readmitted by the university to complete his course. He later made a post on his Facebook account stating that he would focus on his studies, setting aside his political career for national politics. In 2020, Kahawa Wendani MCA Cyrus Omondi died, and so a by-election was to be held. According to an article online posted by The Star, MORARA tried vying for that position using the Party of Economic Democracy. MORARA is not that new to politics. At one point, he was hired by the Jubilee presidential campaign team.
I was a student leader at the university. I was hired by Jubilee presidential campaign team to draw a youth strategy for them, which I did. So I'm not new
into the political arena.
I don't lack political experience. The only thing is, probably I've not been into a government position or into a place where I tap into financing. I've been the back-end strategy guy.
Fast forward to June 2024, during the viral Gen Z protests in Kenya. MORARA KEBASO joined the protests just like other Kenyans. He was glad to see young Kenyans and of course other older Kenyans standing up against the system. He was excited that people were finally speaking out for better governance, but his excitement turned to disappointment. Even though many young Kenyans lost their lives during the protest, they did not achieve their main goals, stopping corruption and improving leadership in the country. And this is maybe one of the things that pushed him to start doing whatever he's doing today. Of course, there are other things like corruption, poor leadership, and inequality. After the protest, MORARA came up with an idea of imitating the president, William Ruto. He began making videos where he pretended to be the president.
Previously on the Vampire Diaries.
Watu wa Makueni hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Mimi nilikuwa hapa tarehe 27 mwezi wa 5 mwaka 2017. Ni kweli si kweli?
This was a new and funny way of criticizing the government, and the videos went viral. He became popular on social media, especially on TikTok and X, which is formerly Twitter. Before this, MORARA was not well known and didn't use social media, but his creative way of combining humor with serious issues like corruption attracted a large audience, especially the young people who usually don't follow politics.
Sikuwa big wig Twitter. In fact, I didn't have an X account. But when this Gen Z thing started, the issues they were talking about is something I've been complaining in my heart for so long, but somebody is saying it now publicly. So I was so happy, I was excited, I was over the moon that finally change is going to come to our country.
In his videos, MORARA speaks to Kenyans from the top of his car, just like the President William Ruto. He wears the same type of clothes as the president, the Kaundas, and stands behind a podium pretending to address the nation. Explaining this approach, KEBASO said that Kenya's President Ruto loves speaking to Kenyans from the top of cars. That's why I adopted the same style to communicate my message. I'm trying to reach the common mwananchi by not just entertaining them, but also educating them creatively. It's my way of passing around civic education. His videos don't just make people laugh, they also get them thinking about the problems in the government. As his videos became more popular, Morara gained more and more followers on Facebook, X and TikTok. Some of the videos have been watched by millions of people. His funny yet serious impersonation of President Ruto helped many Kenyans connect with his content on a deeper level. But Morara didn't stop at making videos. He decided to use his platform to talk about stalled projects across Kenya. I believe you've watched some of these videos.
Sasa nimerudi hapa tena na nitaweka tena mpango ingine ya hii Water Stadium Makueni County ambayo ilikuwa na 1,500 capacity stadiums. Sijui kama tunaelewana.
When he was starting, he was armed with nothing more than a camera, a vehicle, and a passion for accountability. His plan was to visit the sites of various initiatives that President Ruto had either launched or promised. He visited different remote areas across Kenya, checking if the projects announced by the president and other leaders were real or fake. He found that many of these projects were either unfinished or never existed, even though a lot of public money had been spent on them. His reports have shown that millions of Kenyan shillings have been wasted on incomplete or fake projects. One example he highlighted was the Metembe Marani Kegogi Nyaore Road in Kisii County. This project had been launched in 2016 by the then President Uhuru Kenyatta and was relaunched when President Ruto visited Kisii. However, the investigation revealed little progress on the ground despite the repeated ceremonial launches. Other projects Morara inspected included the Kabonyo Fisheries and Aquaculture Project, the Kipkaren Water Treatment and Piping Project, the Mago Malulu Road, and the Malava Water Supply Project. In many cases, he found a significant gap between the government's claims and the reality on the ground. The investigations resonated with many Kenyans who are frustrated by the government and the lack of development in their communities, despite numerous promises from politicians. Much like his grandfather, who once challenged the government on controversial issues, Morara was now challenging the government by exposing stalled or non-existent projects.
I went to Masinjeri Primary School in Nakuru County, okay, Menengai constituency, where someone bought goalposts for 1 million bob.
Goalposts?
Yeah, for a school field. Goalposts. Each chuma to the square.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 million.
1 million.
After the investigations, or as he calls it, the Vampire Diaries, many Kenyans began supporting Morara because they saw him as someone who is fighting for truth and transparency in the government. Unlike many political figures who rely on wealthy donors or party funding or stealing, Morara's efforts are supported entirely by ordinary Kenyans who believe in his mission. In this interview, he revealed that his efforts are funded entirely by Kenyans as he receives contributions from a wide range of supporters, both in Kenya and abroad.
Do you have sponsorship from somewhere? Is there someone sponsoring you?
Yeah. The people of Kenya are sponsoring me. The citizens of the Republic of Kenya are sponsoring me. The government knows, Safaricom knows. People have been sending me Mpesa on my mobile number, 0708 985 611. People have sent me 10 bob, some 50 bob, some send 5,000 from abroad. That's how I'm able to fuel my vehicle and pay my research assistant.
Talking about contributions, let's talk about this car that Morara acquired recently. The vehicle is equipped with a public address system that resembles the kind used by politicians, allowing Morara to communicate effectively with the large crowds or his supporters. The purchase of the public address system was made possible by Kenyans. Morara made a post asking for public donations so as to be able to purchase this equipment. In a post on his X account, he shared a wish list that included a generator, mixers, equalizers, speakers, and other essential things. He gave out two options for sound systems, one priced at 1.2 million and a more affordable choice at about 800,000 Kenyan shillings. Morara emphasized that all resources raised were to be used for civic education, and campaigns aimed at promoting good governance. And he actually did that. After acquiring a vehicle and a public address system, MORARA officially began his nationwide civic education tour. The reception was good. His first stop was in Nairobi CBD, where he received a warm welcome from Kenyans, and he then proceeded to other areas in Kenya. The vehicle is now a central part of his campaign. MORARA has attended many interviews, but this particular interview stands out. He appeared on the JK Live show on Citizen Television in August 2024 and discussed a range of issues, one of which was corruption. When asked why he has been so critical of Ruto's government, KEBASO gave this explanation.
As long as we have a corrupt president, we cannot have a country that will end corruption. Because we'll receive a PR exercise on TV that the president is interested in fighting corruption when the president himself is corrupt.
He argued that the president's alleged involvement in corruption has formed a culture of impunity that runs through all levels of government, turning Kenya into what he describes as a crime scene. In the same interview, he shocked many by alleging that the president, Ruto, had offered him a job. He claimed that the president personally called him, offering a position in exchange for his silence. However, MORARA turned down the offer, reaffirming his commitment to holding the government accountable. Now, State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed strongly denied these claims, challenging MORARA to provide evidence, which he didn't publicly produce.
I wonder why he would lie on national TV that the president called him.
Anyway, as MORARA KEBASO's influence grew, so did the challenges he faced. The donations have been met with controversy. Some people have accused him of exploiting his newfound fame for personal gain. However, he maintains that all the funds he received go directly towards his activism efforts, such as travel expenses for his project inspections and equipment for documenting his findings. At some point, MORARA KEBASO promised to refund the money sent to him by supporters. In a statement shared on social media, KEBASO expressed his gratitude for the support he has received, but indicated that it was time to step back from activism due to accusations of dishonesty. Some people had labeled him a conman, which led him to reconsider his efforts. I am deeply thankful for the support Kenyans have given me. However, there comes a time when a man must decide if the fight is worth it. Many Kenyans seem to have chosen the country they want to live in. I cannot continue to tarnish my reputation by being called a conman or beggar. It's not worth it. I have a family and a business to take care of. For those who feel misled, I'll refund their contributions, including a top-up for withdrawal fees. Just a day before this announcement, on September 20th, MORARA had posted a photo with his colleagues, which triggered widespread criticism. Many people expressed concern over the individuals in the photo, calling them red flags. This criticism angered MORARA KEBASO, and he posted, "When I work alone, people say I'm individualistic. When I work with others, they criticize those around me. When I raise money for my activities, they call me a conman. So what do you expect? A billionaire with stolen money to educate the public? If we talk about starting a political party, people claim it's for personal ambition. Why not start your own party and invite us to join?"
Unajua kwamba si lazima ubeg ndo ufanye uishi maisha yako. Lakini juu umeamua kufanya kazi ya civic education ambayo huwezi fanya na pesa yako, because pesa yako labda ita last 1 week. After that you have nothing. So umeamua sasa wacha uombe watu wa kusupport ama wa kuchangie. Then people say you are a fraud. You are like, basi si niwaachie kazi yenu mtafute mwenye si fraud. Muwak na yeye badala mnanisumbua.
Despite the criticism, his supporters defended him, emphasizing that without adequate planning, funding, public campaigns, and civic education, MORARA would struggle to make an impact. Because how do you expect MORARA to move around? Who pays for his transportation and expenses? And we know activism requires money. The claim of being a conman is not the only challenge he has faced. His constant discussions about the government and his thorough investigations into projects have also put him in trouble. In late August this year, MORARA KEBASO reported that he has been under surveillance by government agents. He shared alarming details about how his phone seemed to be tracked, and he noticed vehicles with untraceable number plates parked near his home. On September 22nd, he was involved in a car accident in Embu County, while returning to Nairobi from Tharaka Nithi. KEBASO escaped the crash without serious injuries, but the incident raised concerns about his safety. After the accident, he made a post stating, "Sometimes accidents are used to cause confusion so that the real thing can happen," indicating that whatever happened had been planned. On September 30th, KEBASO was arrested at his office in Kawasukari. Reports indicated that 6 masked men, with only one identifying himself as a police officer, forcibly took him from his workplace. During this shocking event, MORARA KEBASO was handcuffed and his phones and laptop were confiscated. He was then driven to the Nairobi Regional Police Headquarters. His arrest was linked to a social media post in which he accused a businessman, David Langat, of dubious dealings with President Ruto. According to KEBASO, Langat had taken out loans to finance Ruto's campaign and was now being auctioned by banks, with Ruto allegedly manipulating the value of Langat's properties to buy them at a lower price. KEBASO was charged with cyber harassment under Kenya's Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. This arrest sparked immediate outrage among his supporters and the public. Many saw it as a clear attack on MORARA KEBASO. The High Court of Kenya eventually freed MORARA KEBASO. The court found the cyber harassment charges defective and ruled in MORARA's favor, leading to his release. On the 4th of October, MORARA was attacked by a group of individuals while attending a public participation event at the Bomas of Kenya, which was focused on the proposed impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. MORARA was injured when he attempted to address the crowd. Chairs were thrown at him as the crowd shouted, forcing MORARA to flee for safety. After the incident, MORARA made a post on social media saying, "I was barred from entering Bomas at the gate. When I finally got in, I was denied the mic on the floor. Chaos erupted. And finally, I live to speak another day." In an interview with Spice FM on the 7th of October, this is what he said about whatever happened at the Bomas of Kenya.
And they've been identified. Most of them are goons that that work for the Honorable TJ Kajwang. Others work for Honorable Beatrice Alachi, and some of them work for George Aladwa.
As days went by, MORARA came back to his supporters asking for a fundraiser so as to get enough money to boost his security infrastructure and manpower. And this time, as you can see, he gave out a disclaimer that only send if you trust him, because people are calling him a conman in the past. Now, on the 8th of October, MORARA posted on his X account and Facebook account that, "Please don't abandon me at the hour of my need." A few minutes later, he made another post saying, "Have been arrested over what happened at Bomas." MORARA was later released on a free bond that same day, and according to reports, he was being accused of shouting "Kufa dereva, kufa makanga" during the public participation event at the Bomas of Kenya. On the 9th of October, MORARA decided to take a small break, and he made this post on Facebook stating, "I'm taking a small break to re-strategize. I have a problem that needs a solution. Most of my supporters cheer me online, but when I'm in trouble, they never show up. I need a new strategy on how to mobilize my loyal supporters to have my back whenever I am under attack." MORARA never actually took a break. He has been consistently posting, even addressing those who no longer want to support him, saying that they are free to leave, as he doesn't want lukewarm supporters. He also posted this video addressing rumors of being a mole and responding to Kenyans on X who are mocking him and threatening to cancel him.
Now, whenever I say, "Oh, Rigathi Gachagua is corrupt and his impeachment is not a loss," people say you are a Ruto mole. When I say William Ruto is corrupt, this person should not continue holding power in Kenya, you people say I am a Gachagua mole. So inamaanisha hakuna kitu nitafanya nikose critics, and that's okay.
Now, if you happen to be on X, you'll see some people mocking MORARA, saying that he's no different from other emerging leaders. Some believe that he has lost his way and should get back on track. One person who has criticized MORARA is Miguna, but Miguna attacks everyone, so that is expected. MORARA is not perfect, and that's understandable. Some of the followers feel like there are things he should have said or done differently. MORARA has even admitted that, "I have finally realized who I am, and from today, you'll see a difference." The future of Morara looks bright. Is now under a new political party called the Inclusion of National Justice, Economic and Civic Transformation, or the Inject Party of Kenya. And according to Morara, this party will serve as a platform for ethical leaders and allow Kenyans to reclaim their democracy from corrupt politicians. He believes that the Inject Party of Kenya will be ready to compete in the 2027 elections, expressing confidence that the party will win parliamentary, senatorial, and other elective seats across the country. Morara KEBASO has also hinted at running for presidency in 2027, provided he gains enough public support. As Morara political star continues to rise, the question remains, could Morara one day become Kenya's president? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, his impact on Kenya's political landscape is undeniable, and his story is far from over. Tell me what you think about Morara KEBASO. Don't forget to like this video and, more importantly, subscribe. Let's meet on the next video.